Yes, welcome back to another episode of Triathlon Thrive Talk T3 with Zach Hunsinger, myself, and I've got my awesome co-host Kerry Ritter right here with me. Today we're reviewing Kerry's next local race that has an interesting twist. It's the Boarder Wars Triathlon, and we're throwing a hot topic on the table. Should you go old school with a human coach, or are you better off with an AI coach? Now, the Boarder Wars Triathlon isn't your run-of-the-mill race. We'll be talking about what makes this race so unique and why Kerry signed up for it. And of course, there's always more. In this digital age, tech has brought us AI coaches promising personalized training plans, data crunching, and support right from your device at a fraction of the cost of a human coach. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of sticking with a human coach or giving an AI coach a shot. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete looking to fine-tune your coaching strategy or a newbie just starting out, we've got some real talk insights that might just help you figure out what's best for you. So grab your favorite listening gear, kick back, and hang with us as we dive into the world of triathlons, the Boarder Wars Triathlon, and the good old coach versus AI coach debate. Let's roll. All right, Kerry, why'd you sign up for Boarder Wars?
I spent $100 on this race.
That was the interesting twist, right?
Starting there, that is the interesting twist.
What's it usually cost?
Oh man, what are they at? Honestly, this one isn't too bad. So like local in St. Louis, some of them are getting into the 300s for the 70.3s. Okay. But I think this company, so this is not MC or MSE. This is Racemaker.
So what race are you doing? I don't see one for $100.
Well, they're not $100 anymore.
Wow, you really got in there on a steal.
I got in here.
Sign up early.
I think they had like a Black Friday deal or something like that.
Okay, so I signed up nearly a year in advance.
Yep.
Good grief! Well done. That's the my philosophy. After this season, I decided I'm going to register for a race maybe a few months in advance, due to how many got canceled or I was sick, so I couldn't do it, and then just ate the fee.
That's probably that's my typical approach, but I knew I wanted to do this race, and it's one of the few 70.3s left around here. So that's the other thing that makes it unique. Is it's one of the 3 70.3s that seem to be left in Illinois or in Missouri. So,
well, what are the other two?
So we have Lake Springfield 70.3. That's MSE. There's Innsbruck. That one's still a 70.3. They stopped the Carlisle Triathlon. That's no longer 70.3. That's Sprint and Olympic only. Great Illini went under last year. So like they're
what about Lakeside 370? Is that one still going?
Oh yeah. Yep. And you told me that one was really hot and unshaded, and so I'm like, maybe I'll do something else.
So people didn't want to do it.
I didn't.
They're all what I learned, that was just me being an idiot. I've learned they're all unshaded and hot in the summer. That one's no different, I suppose. But this is so I checked this out. Actually, when I was like, oh man, I don't have anything until Arizona, I kind of half-hearted considered registering. But I thought the bike course is really unique. Have you looked at this yet?
Yeah, it's a lot of straightaways, which is exciting. More turnarounds than I'm typically used to, but
1, 2, 3, 4.
And do we loop? I thought we loop, but maybe we don't.
Yeah, and then do it again. You do this.
Thought so.
I think it's once. It confused me. I was looking at it, but it's because it's in miles instead of kilometers, so I was immediately confused. But I mean, I think 56 miles.
And I'm really appreciative, at least for me, that there's a bathroom stop 3 times.
Okay.
For me, that's a pain point. So.
All right, you're doing it wrong. You got to pee on the bike, dude.
I can't do it. In Newtown, it was pouring rain. I'm like, if there's ever a time to do it, this is the time. And it just doesn't work, man. I can't turn the gears and make it happen. Like the mental gears.
I have to stand up in order to pee. Otherwise, I think that pressure is too much to let the pee come out. So I've only done it once. I usually do it on the run, but I peed on the bike once at Springfield.
it's the benefit of being in the mid pack. It doesn't matter if I stop and pee for 3 minutes in the race. Who cares? I'm not going to pee on myself. I don't need to. There's no reason for me to do that. So.
I I almost said I like peeing on myself, but I don't think that's true. I like not stopping.
That's fair. That's fair.
It makes your shoes smell terrible. I'll tell you that. I felt bad. So I did Springfield right before this is a terrible segue because we're not going to go into the AI coaches yet, but right before I started with my human coach, I did the Springfield race and peed. And then immediately he wanted to do a bike fit with me. And that involves taking your bike, going in, and he was looking at my shoes and making sure the cleats were right. And I was like, those things smell the worst. I mean, it was bad. And he was a pro, obviously his pro coach, and said, I've smelled bad shoes before, and acted like nothing was going on. So another instance when my coach went above and beyond. But all right, so you like the bathroom in 3 spots. I thought this was bad when I saw it, and this was fascinating to me. I was like, well, geez, that's kind of like a bad bottle exchange. If you have one bottle on your bike, you got to go 20 miles, basically an hour without refilling. And I try to drink 2 bottles an hour, one bottle every 380 minutes. So I was concerned about the nutrition factor here. And then to have it 6 miles later, it was basically worthless. I mean, so I thought the 17 mile was maybe okay. And then but then after that, I was like, this is bad. So
I have 2 32-ounce bottles, and then my Aero bottle is like 30. So for me, that gets me the whole 3 hours or so.
So you have 3 bottles on your bike?
I have 2 bottles on the bike and then the Aero bottle.
So that's 3, right?
Yeah.
And you say Aero bottle, you mean like on your
in the cockpit? Yeah.
On the cockpit. Okay, yeah. All right. So I have one of those too, and then I have the one in the. Well, I don't have any right now because I previously had 2, but they got broken in my crash. But I'm gonna go to 1 next time. So, well, that's I like this course. I think it should be fast. What are you expecting?
Oh man, I don't know. Every time I expect, it's not what it needs to be. So I'm just gonna expect myself to work hard and then see how everything goes.
Very good.
At Milkman, I expected a lot on the bike, and I just didn't understand the course to know what to expect, and so I probably overbiked and was well under what I intended on. But this course is relatively fast, so hoping for a lot on the bike, and I want to get a decent.
How are you feeling? Are you tapering okay?
We're in week 2 of my taper. The last block kind of beat me up pretty good. So like the first week out of that block was meh. So I'm getting there. We're getting there.
Is that good or bad if you feel like crap before a race?
I'm not used to it, but watching Trevor Foley talking about it was a little encouraging. He's like, I feel like crap, but I'm very happy about that because every time I do a race, if I feel good, the race just doesn't go the way I wanted to. But I feel like crap, I'm kind of like getting through that taper period and the body kind of recovers. And
that's what Trevor was saying.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So I'm going to hope feeling kind of crappy right now means I'm going to be fully refreshed come race day. So
you got any taper tingles?
I don't know what that means. I'm a little afraid of what that means.
I call those the taper tingles. I've said this a million times. This is the first time anyone's ever laughed, and now I'm just laughing about it. Like I don't know, like your knee might feel a little sore. My feet sometimes feel a little sore when I'm in stride or something. But it's just like your those little things kind of creep up that maybe they didn't bother you before, you just hadn't noticed, and so that's what always gets me. But it sounds like you're describing like a general almost lethargia or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any pain. Like, well, my shoulder is in constant pain, which is annoying, but everything else is kind of like fine. It's just not like my swim wasn't as fast as I would like it to be this last week. Last week, the power I was putting on the bike wasn't where where it ought to be, but it's all good.
So when did you start using a power meter? I thought you were heart rate only.
Oh, well, it's estimated power based on the wheel on trainer. So it's relative. So it's
As
enough
is
to train
all
on.
things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on to the debate of AI coaches and human coaches, those exist too.
Yeah.
Any final points about the Boarder Wars? Why it's so such a great race for such a steal of a price?
Support local triathlon first and foremost. Needs to get done. Race less Ironman, race more local. That's my hot take.
Very good. Love it.
Unless Ironman wants to sponsor this podcast or me or anything we're doing, then of course there's only Ironman.
Your loyalty can be bought. I love it.
Oh yeah, like with like $20. To be honest, like Ironman were to give me a $20 check tomorrow,
right.
I would recant everything in this podcast and take it down.
So I've never raced an Ironman 70.3. Actually, I've only done the full distance Ironmans and then local 70.3s.
I'm continuing my streak of non-Ironman. So next year I'm doing Michigan Titanium, the full distance.
Oh, I was thinking about doing that. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Join me, and then I can draft off you on the bike, and because they probably don't have enough referees or something, because local race, and then I'll get a PR. It'll be great. I think, but it's my first full, so technically it's going to be a PR by default. So there's that.
All right. Well, what about human coaches and AI? You brought this up. Man. Tell me why it was on the forefront of your mind.
So when Zipper started, we were a marketplace for coaches to athletes. And so we always kind of looked at the value proposition that coaches bring to the table, right? And the alternatives out there for, if you are an athlete, how do you improve in your sport? You use AI, you use training plans, you use coaches. And there's this marketing kind of engine behind the idea of AI coaches that to me is not hitting the proper value prop of a coach, right? Like you can have all the plans in the world. You can have all the guidance between what workouts to do and all that stuff. And that can all be amazing technology and a great product, but ultimately you're still not fulfilling what a value proposition of a real life human coach is. The difference is you're paying for that value proposition. So to me, it's interesting behind something like Humango or My Motive, which is not AI powered, but similar premise, where you can get the training plans that are dynamic and for you at a rate of $15 to $25 an hour, or not hour, per month. Per hour would be a little steeper. And that's interesting. But
so you said My Motive is that, I'm guessing that's kind of like My Pro Coach.
It used to be Team Trainiac. So it's Triathlon Terran.
Right. But does he like you buy a plan or something and then it just automatically
it's a dynamic coaching scheduler essentially. So it sees your inputs and outputs and recommends your next workouts depending on what you're working towards.
No joke. Okay.
And they launched this before AI was like the new fad. So they don't have the word AI plugged in all their marketing materials.
But that's basically what it is.
I assume they're not using AI engine, but they're using, algorithms, which is effectively artificial intelligence, depending on how you want to talk about it. But it's an interesting tool. But for me, like the way I see it, if you're in years 0 to 2, these tools could be really interesting. Or if you're, years 5+, like you're either starting and you're not really sure what you're doing and you kind of want to get your bearings, or you're well established, you need something just to kind of keep you on track. That to me, these things make a lot of sense. But it's the people that are like 2 to 5 years in that could get so much more value from a human coach. Like, so to me, hundreds of % of value more through a human coach.
I didn't even know these things existed. So I'm still kind of like trying to grasp how AI works at this. Cause here's what I did. My pro coach, when I first started, I bought a training plan. It was static and it put in, whatever the heck it thought I needed to do over 6-9 months, and then I either did it or didn't, and that was about it. The only thing that changed was like the metrics I was trying to hit, the like the pace, the heart rate, the zones changed based off of sort of every 6 weeks you'd have like an FTP test or something. So I can't imagine anything changing with artificial intelligence here. So, all right. So I guess the only thing I see as the benefit with AI is maybe twofold. Is one, it's cheaper, and then two, presumably it's more accurate than a human coach.
Depends on how you see accuracy, I guess.
All right. I guess I don't know what I mean by more accurate.
It's more. I guess it would be more analytical in that sense.
I think that's probably what I'm thinking in my head. Like it's going to look at the numbers a bit more and see, like, I don't know if it goes into this much of detail, but kind of like I don't use Whoop. I use my sleep metrics on my smartwatch, but like Zach's had bad rest the last 3 days. He has a tough run scheduled today. We're not going to do a tough run today. He's not prepared for it. We're going to move that back and then put in something else today. Like I don't think a live coach, unless I was like a professional who checked in with my coach every single day before a practice or whatever, would be able to make that quick adjustment accordingly. I don't even know if you should make those adjustments just because of bad rest, but that's what I'm thinking is like the AI would be able to do it like that. Is that how it works or no?
I'm not entirely sure about Humango. I know it adjusts at least on a weekly schedule, and I think it will take into account your feedback from your last workouts. And that's the other thing. I'm critiquing this relatively sight unseen. I've watched the GTN videos and how they use it and all that kind of stuff, and from that perspective, I understand it. But I believe it can adjust. But what's the big thing to me with coaching is like this sport is not purely physical, right? Like it's not just how do your legs feel? How fit are you right now? Like
sure.
When you're talking longer distances, there's so much more that goes into it that you can't put into statistics. And that's the value proposition of a coach, right? Like they find what makes you tick. They push you along the way you need to be pushed. It's not just inputs and outputs of numbers and you're running at 7 minutes per mile. So when you need to run faster, run a 6:30 loop or whatever. Like, yeah, that's my take on it.
Well, it said for us, it'd be $29 a month. So I don't know about you. That's cheaper than my coach.
Oh yeah. And that's why I say, like, if you're in that learning stage, like that's where the value is. So for me, I get so much out of my coach, not only race specific details, but just kind of methodologies around the psychology of the sport, the actual physical side of the sport.
You keep bringing up the psychology and mental aspect of what are your calls like? You sound like a group counseling session or something.
Well, it's not like we talk about psychology explicitly, right? But, you can kind of the same way you encourage your as a coach in any business or anything really, like you understanding how people tick and helping them overcome their boundaries, like that's a big piece of that, right? Like so for me on the swim, I can't break through a mental blockage of some sort, right? And so when we talk about how I'm going to race on Sunday, it's okay, when you get in the water you need to think about X, Y, and Z, and that's going to help you push, right? Things like that. So it's not just
strategy stuff. Like I can definitely say AI is not going to know. You got Boarder Wars coming up. You blew up on your run at your last 70.3 because you biked too hard. Like here, your human coach is going to say, presumably, you want to be feeling whatever during the swim so that you have a good bike, and this is about what you want to aim for. And so that's kind of what you're describing as the human element.
Yeah, you can call it psychology, strategy, whatever you want to, however you want to picture it. But
I don't think it. I'd be very hard pressed to not have a human coach. I definitely think if I don't know how to articulate the value I find from the human coach. And mine puts my practices in on a weekly basis and so on. So it's pretty much the same sort of real-time analysis. My coach has the same sort of analytical software that presumably this software is using, and probably I wouldn't even know if he was using an AI behind to help generate the practices anyways. But I mean, those extra things, like I already mentioned before, the stinky shoe fitting. I mean, my coach let me borrow his travel bag. He's been talking to me about how to take turns and ride a bicycle. Like, I mean, no, there's no amount of articles I'm ever going to read that's going to replace his ability to instruct me on handling a bicycle, if you will. And I think that's what a lot of people would be missing out. But at the same time, I mean, there's different levels of competition and why people are in the sport, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, maybe half people don't even have athletic plans, training plans. They just go out and do whatever the heck they feel like that day. They don't even use Strava or Training Peaks. So who knows what they're doing here? They got
I heard some people run without watches.
Well,
they don't stare at their watch the entire run. It blows my mind.
I know that Lionel doesn't. He races without a watch, but yeah, I cannot imagine.
I have heard that more. Yeah.
So my coach, he hates me, and that's why he always puts in these terrible training plans for me, and that I feel like I'm betraying my brethren by in a sort of being anti-AI, because I'm a strong, like, I love training virtually. I ride my bike on the trainer. I hate being outside riding my bicycle. I hate running outside. Although I hate running on the treadmill. So I guess I just hate running, but I most hate trail running. And the last two runs, my long runs, he's put me down for like an hour, 90 minutes, whatever recovery runs. Leave your watch behind, just go enjoy the woods. And I was like, that's impossible. I'm not going to, leave my watch behind. I'm not going to enjoy the woods. I hate trail running. And then,
well, I was going to ask you if you wanted to pace 100K with me, but I'll tell you, I assume that's off the table.
Well, shoot, if you're,
no, you already blew it. You already blew it. I'm kidding.
No, I actually, I'm really intrigued by that. When did you have in mind?
There's a 100K called the Shippy. More local races, support local trail running. Shippy endurance run. I did the 20 miler last year, and I think I'm signing up for the 100K, but maybe dropping at 40.
Okay.
So we'll see.
When would you need me to pace you?
Let me get back to you. So I'm doing it. So you'd be joining at mile 40.
Okay.
And I'd be going to the 100K, but we got to see if my body can handle that kind of distance.
Just keep moving, man. One foot in front of the other.
I like to continue to run, so I'd rather not have plantar fasciitis or any other bonal injury.
That's psychology. It's in your head. Talk to your coach, and then
bones are not in my head. Well, there's no bone up here. It's just goo.
Oh, we're in trouble.
I am happy to push through pain, but I am not interested in muscular or skeletal injuries. So if I can see that I will not have those two things happen, I will continue towards the 100K.
I'm telling you, it's in your head, man. Every day, every moment, every part of me hurts. There's not an exercise where I'm thinking something is painful. You just got to keep going. It's the only way to strengthen your body. No pain, no gain. That's the phrase.
I'm fine with pain. I'm not fine with injury. I'm happy with pain. Not a fan of injury.
All the coaches are rolling over. They're angry with me. I'm certainly not a coach. Even the AI is angry.
Like, what the hell?
I'm going to get visited by the Terminator.
Hey, we heard what you said about running through injuries.
Uh-huh.
That's the only thing. We'll see how things go. But
all right, where'd we land here with we both are proponents of human coaches.
But if you're starting out, something that's $20 a month that gives you a training plan and dynamically changes towards it, completely reasonable. If you've been in the sport for a while, you kind of know what you're doing and you just need something to keep you on track, again, completely reasonable. But if you're at that stage where you really want to ramp up your athletics and really understand the sport and strategy, the amount of money you spend on a coach is 100% worth it to me over any of these more affordable tools.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. All right, well, that's it for today. Hopefully we'll get back again next week. Sorry for missing last week, but we have other lives than being a triathlete, as it turns out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.